Well, hello, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. We've got King with me. We're actually nearly out of fuel. I'm going to go fuel it up, but up near the fuel station, the E85 place, there is a weighbridge. And I think we really need to get this car weighed so we know where it's sort of sitting power-wise. We know how fast it's doing a quarter. We know its trap speed, which is 132 miles an hour, by the way. We also know it can do 100 to 200 in 5.76 seconds, which is just insane. But let's go and see how much it actually weighs. Then we'll know if it's really making the power that I think it is. Guys, you'll see us when we get to the weighbridge. All right, I apologize for King's heavy breathing. He's just awfully excited about what's going on. I've never actually been to a weighbridge before. So here we go. Wants me to stop. And we'll go tail weight, enter, drive empty vehicle on the weighbridge and press enter. Docket completed. Holy crap, that cost $35. Yes. Jesus Christ, it spat it out. Well, I'm back home. You can probably see that. I had to let King out of the car. I tried to film at the weighbridge. I was quite surprised with the weight, which is 1.56 tons, by the way. So 1560 kilos. Yeah, I was trying to film at the weighbridge, but King, he must have just been hot or excited, but his breathing was going insane and you wouldn't be able to hear my voice. So yeah, I'm back home. 1.56 tons, 1560 kilos. Is a fair bit less than I was expecting, and that means the car doesn't have as much power as I was expecting, which is good and bad. So I better give you guys a bit of a story, and I'd love your feedback on if you've weighed your E90 or E92 for that matter. So when I first started going fast in my E92, so when we first hit like the 6-second 100 to 200s, the weight of the car got brought up in the comments. I've never weighed one. I can Google what the weights of the car was, and I had a few different people that commented on what they thought the weight was, and I guess I used all that information to assume that my E92 was around 1650 kilos. I've never properly weighed it, but that's what sort of stuck in my head. 1650 kilos makes sense. If you Google E92 335, they come up at 1600 kilos generally is the top result in Google. If you Google E90 335, it comes up at 1600 kilos. However, there is a bit of a switch up that's gone on, which really drove me to go and weigh this car today because I wasn't really sure. So there's an Australian website called redbook.com.au. I used to live on that website 10 or 15 years ago, mainly because it had like trade-in values of cars, used car values, and then all the specs. It's the website that we used to use to get the 0 to 60 times. But I know that the 0 to 60 times are often exaggerated or sort of impossible to achieve in the real world. So when I saw that they listed the E90 curb weight at 1460 kilos, I sort of brushed it off. Maybe the website's wrong like its 0 to 60 times are. That website does list the E92s at 1550 kilos. I think, actually, I'll double check this in the edit, but I think they listed it about 100 kilos heavier-ish for an E92 over an E90. Now, there's been a few people that I've actually spoke to in person that have suggested that E90s might be lighter than I might think. Now, these guys, we never spoke about it with any seriousness. It was just sort of a bit of chit-chat, a bit of car guy banter. And one of them actually said, you'd be surprised how light the E90s are. They're not much different to a 135. At the time, we were talking about trying to make a fast N54 record car and how much lighter a 135 would be. Well, the general consensus in that conversation was they're not that much lighter. Now, Jake Spence, brilliant N54 YouTuber, he weighed an E90 four-door and his E82 135. Now, his 135 is his manual record breaker. I think he did like a 10.3 or a 10.4 in that car. So it was a fast car, but when he took it to the weighbridge, he'd already started weight reduction. So I think he already had the rear seats out. And I remember converting it to kilos. I can't remember the pounds figure. I'm sure somebody will correct me, but the 135 ended up at like 1495 kilos, and his E90 was a smidge over 1600 kilos. So again, when I saw that he'd actually put one on a weighbridge, an E90 on a weighbridge at 1600 kilos, and then the general consensus is the E92's heavier, I think that's when 1650 kilos sort of stuck in my brain as the weight of an E92. So an E90 I thought would be a little bit lighter, but I wasn't expecting this to be anywhere near what it is today. So when it got onto the weighbridge, sorry about the crappy filming when I was there. There were trucks rolling around and I was trying to sort of get my shit together. Had no idea how to use the weighbridge. But it turns out you actually get out the car, go and pay, and it makes the measurement, or it does the measurement when you give the machine the $35, which seems like a lot of money. But we did have King in the car. The car is in full street trim, and I'd done about 20 kilometers after filling the tank. So the tank was pretty much full. So we've probably got 60 odd liters of E85 in the car, and we've got a 50 kilo dog. Now, if you take those two measurements off, we get close to Redbook's tare weight of 1460. And yeah, this car's not as heavy as I thought it was. That weighbridge is a fully licensed public weighbridge. It'll be calibrated. It's right next to a concrete yard, and that company will use that weighbridge to charge out their concrete. So I'm sure it'll be calibrated. I'm sure it's going to be pretty spot on. This car's not very heavy, which means, wow, far out. When I was doing the 1 to 2s and the quarter time, so when I've done that 132.5 mile an hour trap speed on the quarter mile, with me in the car, and to be fair, I weigh 85 kilos, put on a bit of weight. I weigh 85 kilos. The car had about half a tank of fuel, maybe a third of a tank of fuel. So it was probably around that 1560 to 1580 kilos. Now, what that equates to, this engine's only probably putting out a smidge over 600 horsepower. There are calculators online, which I had a look at last night, where you can calculate your the power of your car off the trap speed. Now, it's not perfect, but there's no way of measuring horsepower perfectly, I think. But yeah, generally, the consensus would be 132.5 mile an hour at 1560 to 1580 kilos. This car's a bit over 600 horsepower. So it's about 100 horsepower less than I thought it was. Bugger. Now, I don't want to take away from the Flowmaxes. This car rips. This is fast. But I am learning as we go, and I wanted to share this experience. So is it fast because it's an E90? Yeah, that's definitely going to help. My takeaway is it sort of makes this whole base map thing make a lot more sense. And the benefit of what I've learned today is I'm going to feel a lot safer when we start to wind the power up. Like, we're on baby timing. We're on 25 PSI. We've got to wind it up. I should also mention, thank you to everyone that liked the last video. If you can like this video as well, that'd be great. I think that means because one person liked that video, we're going to have to take it roll racing. Roll racing is actually in 3 days' time. Today's Tuesday. Roll racing is on Saturday. We need to get it ready by Friday night. Before we take it roll racing, I'd love to get a better revision on it. So this car is matching the E92 17T times at this power level, and I'd like to get it up to closer to the E92 17T, which was 620 wheel horsepower, by the way. I'd like to get it up to that power level by the time we go to rolls. 4 days. So I've got to sort out ignition. I want a better intercooler on it, and we've got to get Ken doing some maps from Wedge Tuning. Will we make it happen? We'll see how we go. Speaking of the intercooler, I'm hoping the new one for this car turns up this afternoon. We've got about 2 or 3 hours before the post sort of cutoff is, but I have ordered a high density intercooler, and I want to do some testing and show you guys the difference between a high density and a standard intercooler, or a standard density 7.5 inch intercooler. I own both of them on different cars, and I feel like the standard density ones are just crap compared to a high density, but we'll do something semi-scientific with some logs. That'll probably be tomorrow's video. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if you've put your car on a weighbridge. If you've weighed any N54 car, whether it's a Z4, 135, E90, E91, E92, anything. I'd love to know what you actually got your car properly, officially weighed at, and see how it fluctuates against everything that's listed on websites like Redbook. Guys, thank you very much for watching. We will catch you on the next one. Whew. We're only just scratching the surface. This motor's not stressing yet, and it's fast. This car's going to be fast. Woo! It's good. Catch you on the next one. Peace. Well, we made it, but it's misfiring. Ooh, that was close.